it's really, really important for everybody to know what are our standards and how do we qualify that lead, and so that they make sure that they meet our standards.
It's like, if you can tell they have it, send it. But we shouldn't ask our prospect to do more work than they have to.
I think that we need to be very clear in what needs to happen and where to go with what.
All right, last week, if you're listening to this real time, last week to get our APP sales course
Like
for
this flashing, buy it now before you can't buy it no more.
Buy it now. Yeah, because otherwise it goes away April 30th. After that, you have to subscribe to the whole school. You get it no other way.
Or you can have it live with us.
You could do it live, yes. You could have Steve
Bobby and I are happy to come to your team and help train it live.
That's a good way to put it, but I like that. Thank you for reminding me that we do have that option where you could deliver live. So
you can have this in your office for the right price, but it's not the sale price of owning the course outright.
So you get to be the bad guy and help your team learn the sales process.
You literally own it forever. That's another huge option, right?
Yeah. You don't own me forever.
No.
Of course you could own forever.
You can own the course forever. So we've had some tips to get new buy-ins is actually following a sales process, right? So today we're going to talk a little bit about our 9 steps. Now you might be thinking, oh my gosh, 9 steps. But
so simple.
Well, we used to have a 5-step, and then I think people kind of combined, like they missed some things that I thought were really important. So I broke it down. So because, salespeople like to cut corners sometimes, that's salesperson brain. We decided that we're going to make sure that we do them. So step 1 is build rapport. And if you want to, there's a whole podcast we did on the importance of building rapport. So we can kind of speed through this. Stephen, would you like to give everybody a recap of what we talked about on building rapport? Just the 10-second version.
They want to do business with people they like, and they want to feel special.
And we loosen people up. So somebody they might think would be not a great lead, maybe didn't gel with. It's because maybe we didn't invest that time up front to build rapport. They share more. And the other good thing is they stop shopping if they like you, and they wait to hear what your quote is. So if they don't get a good vibe from you, people take their lunch break and keep quoting, right? Or they look for other options until they feel like they've found somebody that's going to fit their needs. So the next one is a new one based on our old sales course, which is finding the pain points. Well, this is huge if we're not going to sell on price.
Other than price, what has you shopping today?
Right. And it's like, oh, only price. Great. When's the last time you've heard from your agent? You mean Safeco?
No, your independent agent that you work with.
I mean, I'm with Safeco. I'm not trying to brag on Safeco, by the way.
What's an independent agent?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I bought it and I haven't heard from them again. So yeah. Right. So sometimes they don't know their pain points. But I think we have to identify really what's going on more than price. That's huge, because if you are coming in a little hot on the price, this is going to be the wedge and the thing that says like, well, to spend another, X per month, we could get all this in return. And I think that that's amazing. Right. Now let's talk, Bobby. What do you think? Qualify the risk, right? Now I'm going to be really clear. People, you can't qualify the risk at step 1. Okay. Because you haven't loosened people up enough to share enough, really. So if you just want to go year, make, model, tickets, accidents, roof, how many claims did you have? Are you willing to do all these things like pay in full and not premium finance? Like that's disqualifying a lead. That's not qualifying a lead. So I really believe that step 1 and 2 take about 3 to 5 minutes max, like maximum. And you're going to see this in our course where we role play it out, that it's a smooth scenario. But what do you think about qualifying the risk, Bobby?
I think that this is a great step, because what we can do is we can make sure, like, does the lead meet our standards, and are they even interested in meeting our standards, right? But I guess what's key and critical here too is, does your agency have standards?
Oh,
why you call them out like that, Bobby?
I know.
We can help them with that.
We can help you with that, but it's really, really important for everybody to know what are our standards and how do we qualify that lead, and so that they make sure that they meet our standards. So, Stephen calls me for a quote, but he's had 3 DUIs in the last year.
I haven't, by the way, just so we're clear.
He has not. We Uber everywhere. So
actually, Sabrina, Christina, Tina, Athena, she drives now. So we're good. We have to definitely make sure we qualify that risk, right? Otherwise, we're going to spend time, their time, our time. And remember, when we say yes to quoting an unqualified lead, we're saying no to prospecting. We're saying no to filling our pipeline with the stuff that does fit our agenda. And don't fight agencies on this, right? Sometimes people are like, but it's my cousin, but it's this, but it's that. Don't fight the agency on it. You realize that you're clogging up the whole service team, and then they don't have time to do proactive renewal reviews. We need the business that works best for us and not take the long shots that go under. We used to always say, like, when somebody calls in and they're an underwater basket weaving dynamite company, what do we say?
We might have a market. Let me ask some more questions.
Or my personal favorite with somebody that Stephen and I both know. And she told me she was so B-word, I won't even use it, that because she had to get this quote done. I said, well, what's this quote? And she's like, well, it's a current customer's referral. Our current customer's renting out her house to someone that's going to run a daycare in it. And we might have found one market that we have to get appointed with to get it written. And I was like, how many hours do you spend on this? 8? 8 hours finding a market that we'd have to get appointed to write one policy for something that shouldn't be happening.
In your 72-page E&S supplemental.
And I was like, and there's one company. So what do you think is going to happen next year? Yeah. So we write the business that the agency tells us to write, and we say no, and we move on because we have prospecting that we can be doing, like calling lost customers, calling unsold closed, calling monoline, calling centers of influence, asking for referrals. We have sources to hit, but if you're aggressively waiting for the phone to ring, you're going to go on an adventure down a rabbit hole you don't need to be going down, right? Next step, gather information. So this is when we switch gears a little bit. We go into our quoting process. But can we talk about the need to make this not an interrogation?
I wish I could record somebody I used to work with. She did the most beautiful replacement cost estimators ever. And it was like you were talking with your best friend over a cup of coffee.
Oh, that sounds fun.
And she was like, oh, well, tell me more about the kind of flooring in your house and blah, 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 blah. And oh, I see that it looks like you have a French store out back. And when was your roof? Like, what kind of roofing is there? Oh, it's metal. That's amazing. They'll last forever. When did you get that? Like, she literally built every question that was needed into conversation. Or she was like, my bathroom is wallpapered. I don't know how I feel about that. Not that it matters to you, but do you have wallpaper in your bathroom? Like, she could ask every question to fill out every box of a replacement cost estimator in like 10 minutes, but it was like you were talking to your best friend about a home remodel.
Well, and there's new tools out there like Canopy Connect. But I also feel like some people are very adamant, I need a copy of the policy. And I said, need or want? And I don't love it if we're only going off that policy. Great, send a copy if you have it. Ask all those underwriting questions. That policy is wrong. We do renewal reviews, people. Do you know how many updates we make on those renewal review calls? We've had some companies that put the agency under alert because they're doing too many changes and because they're doing renewal reviews. I'm like, we had one company that put our agency on alert, so they couldn't increase coverage without underwriter approval because the renewal calls were so successful that they were increasing coverage too much. I was like, what?
God forbid you insure the homes properly or the properties properly.
I mean, it's fine to ask for if you want to check things and go over. I agree. It's nice to have, but I don't want to have other people call other agents asking for it. That's a big no-no, right? So it's like, if you can tell they have it, send it. But we shouldn't ask our prospect to do more work than they have to. And I don't want them rattling the nest over there at the other agency who's like, why are you shopping? And then now you've added another competitor into the pool, right? Mm-hmm. So now we get the information, and there is technology out there that allows you to get it more seamlessly. So embrace it. Don't fight it. Don't say, no, I like to do it the old fashioned way. And whatever you do out there, do not send the client a sheet to fill out.
What's the most effective way for me to get all the information?
Yeah, which is great. And now there might be supplemental applications that need to be filled out. I understand that. But I'm saying your initial information, they should not be like, that's on us to work through, right? Not on them to go, what if you gave that to me, it would sit on the side of my desk and I would keep looking at it with the test. It'd be like, that looks like a lot.
Or just pick up the phone and call the next person and see if they wanted the same thing.
Or my favorite is it's not fillable. So then I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm like, now you've made me and I'm like OCD about formatting sometimes. So now I've just spent a lot of time making a perfect Word document for you. So next up, quote plan. Now this is new. This is new in our process because I think it was a missing step, but how many options are we going to give people? what features are we trying to promote? Monthly investment. But I also think another one that we want to think about is carrier placement. So hard market might be like, we have someone that'll write it, we take it. That's great, but we're doing this for the long haul, right? So I think sometimes we will mistake the idea of putting it with the cheapest this year, which means next year people are going to get their butt kicked with rate, right?
Mhm.
Or we put it with a carrier that pays us the least amount of commission when there was another one for $50 more that would have paid us 3 points more in commission. We need to understand that and identify what carriers. I mean, I've seen so many agencies that come this close to a bonus or to a bigger contingency tier because they came short like 10 grand in premium.
Yeah.
I think that this is where we have to get through the quote plan. Like, how am I going to prioritize the quotes, right? I have 4 quotes to do. Who gets the next one? It shouldn't just be like a deli counter. Well, this one came in last. This is the next one I'm going to do. We need to prioritize the best ones first and manage our time appropriately. So I don't think people talk enough about having a plan for quoting.
No, I think that we need to be very clear in what needs to happen and where to go with what.
Absolutely. And then we just talked about in our last podcast, presenting the quote, right? Bobby, you want to do a quick recap on some tips of presenting the quote so people go to our last podcast and listen to it so we don't give it all away?
Yes. Never email a quote.
Ever. Don't do it.
Never email a quote, especially without a conversation. So you head over to that last podcast and hear all the juicy details about why we don't email the quote, what that means, and what that looks like.
No, it should be a great presentation and role play it, even if you don't like it and people just gave me bitter beer face, still do it. And after you present the quote, sometimes people just say yes, but this is where it kind of dovetails off, right? Like, you need to sit on that call until you understand why someone's not telling you yes right now. And I mean, get it awkward. Like, oh, you need to think about it. Tell me, what do we have to think about? Is there anything that's unclear in the quote? What do you plan on pondering? Where are you going to think about it? What kind of wine are you going to drink while you're thinking about it? Do you have a highlighter ready? No, don't go that far, but
Who you need to talk to, who's going to be in the conversation.
Would you by chance be waiting for some other quotes to come in, right? Because that's usually what they have to think about is comparing it to another quote. Well, let's know that, right? Like, let's know that there's other quotes out there because then now I want to win.
Well, and they may say they're waiting for a quote from a specific carrier that you already got a quote from.
Boom, Bobby with the heat. So get those objections out there to say, think about it, let me know. All right, I'll get back to you. Nobody knows what's happening with I'll get back to you. Basically, what I'll get back to you means is no thank you, but I'm trying to be polite. And tell people, well, I'm going to call you every other day until you let me know the answer. And then they'll be like, I have another quote. Please don't do that. But it's okay right there to have a little friction point. And I think we're trying to have such smooth sailing all the time that we don't want to put awkwardness or any friction points in. Listen, you just spent 45 minutes, an hour plus, potentially, depending on the type of quote. Like, you need to defend your time of why you're not getting it.
Yeah.
And then we need to follow our follow-up process, which should be the same for everybody, right? How many times we follow up. I'm Irish Catholic, right? So we grew up with confession, which I guess a lot of other religions don't have confession, which is kind of funny. Like, and when you really break it down, confession is it's a very interesting concept. But
Go tell on yourself.
Yeah, well, yeah, and there's a whole protocol to it. But you go and tell the priest. This was when I'd be like, I didn't follow my sales process maybe the way I should. So my penance, like, you had to say like 10 Hail Marys. So like, for not following sales process, like, my punishment was having to make these follow-up phone calls. Because in the whole sales process, I hate the follow-up. I hate all of it. I hate calling, emailing, feeling like, do you like me? Do you still want my quote? Why won't you talk to me? Please call me back. I don't know what to do. And then like by the third or fourth follow-up, you're like, they hate me.
Like the stench of desperation that is coming across the phone line.
Yeah. And so it's like, I just hate it. Like, I'd rather just get the close and move on. Also, like, I'm like a immediate person, right? Like, I'm a quick start by nature. So like, I just want, you're on the phone, me, like, I'm just going to torture you till we do this or you're going to tell me no, because the whole follow-up thing is where I'm trying to get out of my life. But a lot of agencies don't have a follow-up process. So people do like one, and then that's it. And then they give up and close it all out and call it a day. That's not enough, people. And in our course, we're going to talk about the right follow-up process. The other thing is too, we need to break up. So if I'm getting ghosted, I'd take my love away. I'm going to close your file if I don't hear back to you by end of day tomorrow. Yeah.
I'm gonna lock it down in the deep, dark basement where we.
By the way,
never
there should
get
be no
into it.
actual file, right? We should, just to be clear.
In the-
Want to be
in the
clear.
basement of my mind is what I meant.
I don't want people being like, she said file. I mean, we're allowed to have people. We're not. Okay, we're not. So
Electronic file here.
we're gonna close our task in our management system and move on. But if it was a qualified lead, we want to recycle it, right? So I think so many agencies miss this recycling step because we're so B word. But these are high quality leads that we already quoted. They're fast. We need to stay in touch with them. And then we bind the policy. Woo, 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 woo. We do our happy dance. And then that because that's just like. And then the final step is if we did bind it, we want to talk about how do we get referrals? How do we get any other policies we couldn't catch up front? And how do we introduce service, right? So this is for agencies where, now you could still do those other two things, even if you're going to be servicing the policy, but we want to tie a bow on it. Say, hey, do you know anybody? We want to turn that customer into the next customer and make sure if there's all these other policies with their agents, we have that process to pull it in because everyone always says, well, I'll go after the X date, but do we? Nope.
No.
Nope. So we need to make sure that we do all that. So that's our sales process. I think it's exciting to make sure that we focus on it. But any final thoughts for our listeners about why they should get the course or sales process, everyone?
Hitting a 9 makes you fine.
What did you say?
Hitting a 9 makes you fine.
Oh, okay. Hitting a 9 makes you fine. Okay.
My inspirational message for the new 9-step sales process.
And I think, there's some really great steps in our new beefed up sales process where, we were doing them before, but maybe not as hard hitting on them. I love the final step. Guess what? A referral is your cherry on top for a job well done. And so we have to make sure that people feel comfortable to start planting those seeds, asking for referrals and following up.
I love it. Well, guys, thank you. We appreciate you and we appreciate all of the work you're putting into the sales course. So if people want to check it out, go to our website. Final day is April 30th. So don't delay, everybody. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.